Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. This is going to be a really special show, probably something that nobody's ever done before, where we're looking at comics from the golden era that are totally under the radar, things that maybe you can even get for cheap that shouldn't be for cheap. And I'm joined with Keston from Old School Comic Books. He's just a really great YouTuber. Definitely got to check out his channel. He actually does with this new thing. I've never seen it before on my channel, but it's called video editing, and it's like a really cool technique that makes the videos actually like properly laid out. It's quite good. I don't do that, so I always appreciate channels where they put that extra effort into making the high quality videos. I'm more about quantity. So I put out every day, so it gets hard to edit. I really appreciate Keston's work, so definitely check out his channel. Without further ado, let's get into the books. See what you got.
All right, sounds good. Alan, we'll go back, one at a time. And for my particular books, I'm going to go in ascending order of value. And by the way, the very last book I'm going to show is the most expensive non-superhero book in the hobby. So the first book I'm going to show is Boy Comics number 23. This is a crazy cover. It's by Charles Biro. And if you can see here, it's got Crimebuster, who is the hero. Biro's got this super weird sense of humor. You can see that there's a guy there, and he's got a golf flag buried in his back. And if you haven't heard of Charles Biro, last name is B-I-R-O, check him out. You can get a low-grade copy of this book for under $100, so relatively cheap for a Golden Age book. Big grade will cost you maybe a couple $100. If you want to get high grade, that'll be maybe close to $1,000, but not too bad for a Golden Age book. Alan, that is my beginner book for this video. What do you got?
So that's a really great one. Actually, I have a couple boys comics,
okay.
not many, but that's a really great one because it is totally under the radar. And I've seen people collect it. It's one of those ones where there are these like kind of like collectors of it. The majority of people that have the boys comics don't actually realize what they have, and you can get them so cheap, like just random. Like I got a lot of these boy ones in Golden Age lots. So you can get them really affordably, so it's quite good.
Yeah, one thing I like about it too is if you're a golfer out there, this is one of the best golf covers you can possibly get. Or if you have a friend who's a golfer, you might be able to buy a low grade book for 50 or 60 bucks and give it to your friend.
Like I'm gonna do from low to high as well, since you created the trend. I'm gonna show one that I picked up for, I actually paid too much for this, even though it's a high grade. It's a really high grade. I paid $20. Okay, and it's a high grade. It's the Kilroys. I picked up just because I like the good girl art. It's a Archie ripoff comic. It's in a high grade. It's like I would say like a 6 or 7. It's quite solid. There's no major flaws, nothing going on in the spine. And that was $20. I've seen it as low as $10. I say it's a good one. The art is like got that good girl art style. But
I've never seen that book before, I don't think. And is it Golden Age, Alan?
Yes. Definitely Golden Age.
Okay.
Definitely Golden Age. This is right after the war.
Okay.
And the reason they're called the Kilroys is in honor of the people that fought in the war.
Okay.
You know how Kilroy was here? And if you get number one is a little bit more expensive. Like a low grade, this is a low grade copy. Like This is like a 2.5 maybe. I paid $35. It says 40, but I talked them down. For number one, that's pretty cheap, right? So you'll notice the earlier issues will always say Kilroy was here, memory of the people in the Second World War, where they would tag, Kilroy with the Kilroy symbol. Do you know the Kilroy symbol? Like it's the little guy with the nose.
No, actually, this is news to me.
It's a pretty major historical thing from the Second World War.
Right.
A lot of these American Army guys would draw that symbol. It's like a guy, he looks like he's just peering his nose over like a wall or something like that. And they would just tag like buildings and stuff with that to show that the Americans had sort of taken over that area.
Gotcha.
As they were going through to Germany. So they pay homage to it, like Kilroy was here.
Well, Alan, I always appreciate your historical take on these comic books. And I probably should have known what Kilroy is, but this is the first time hearing it. So thanks for sharing.
So show me your next ones.
All right. Next one. This is 4-color $1.99. And it's a fairly well-known Donald Duck cover. So it's Sheriff of the Valley. It's got Huey, Dewey, and Louie on there too. did a ton of Donald Duck. And if you haven't heard of him, check him out too. And this book's not too bad either in terms of price. You can get a low grade copy oftentimes for maybe a couple $100, and then mid grade might be several hundred, and then like the really nice 9.4, 9.6 might put you back $2,000 or something for a book that I think is just an outstanding cover. Not such a bad deal.
Yeah, no, that's a great cover. Yeah, some of his other covers, like with Uncle Scrooge,
That's right. Yep.
Are pretty pricey. they're pretty pricey. Even in low grades, they're pretty pricey. I always like that sort of side spec of like good artists. There's some really interesting issues of 4-color that have his artwork that are just so under the radar, and you can pick them up like really cheap, considering there's books that are like near it that are like going for thousands of dollars in low grade, like the Treasure one. That's probably like a multi-$1,000 book.
Like you said, he's got so many great covers that if you just go a little bit off the beaten path, you can get a good deal. Also note there's some original artwork that he has that comes up for auction every now and then on Heritage Auction, and that's quite expensive. If I'm not mistaken, that's 5 figures typically for for the original artwork, but it's spectacular.
I got his first Uncle Scrooge, which is the Bear Mountain one. And I got a bunch of other of his stuff. I think I have his first cover with Uncle Scrooge as well. So that was actually a couple $100, not too bad. Not too bad. So it's just under the radar.
There's a lot of people spending hundreds of dollars on modern books, and with tens of thousands of copies out there. And you can go back for one of these late 40s book that Carl Banks did, and there might be maybe a few hundred that are in existence, and pay similar money and just get these amazing golden age books. I try not to knock the modern age, but I just, when given the choice between a modern age book and a golden age book, I will take golden age every time.
I always think about scarcity as a kind of a factor about whether or not something's valuable or not. So you look at two similar books. You look at a golden age book, got a great artist, great cover, historical something going on. And then you compare that to a modern one where there might be a great artist and great historical, but the scarcity isn't there. The scarcity is like, as you said, 10,000. 10,000 is considered like a rare book.
Right.
But in the golden age, you might see 100 copies and that's it. That's not even that rare. Like the rare ones are like, 20 on the census. Definitely I always pick up a golden age one. If people start gravitating to the golden age and realizing what kind of deals you can get there, I think they're primed to jump up in value.
Speaking of which, the last 2 books I'll show, just a little teaser, your description fits well, like only, a few dozen copies around total.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So something to look forward to. That's going to be on that's going to be on Keston's channel. He shows all the awesome stuff on his channel. It's like we bring out all the dollar bin books from my channel. Okay, so that's fair. Okay. Okay, so I'm going to show one more, and then we're going to go to, then you're going to show me one more, right? And then we'll go to your channel.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I'm going to show one that I'm just actually surprised that I was able to get these so cheaply. This is Witch's Tales. And I actually brought 2 copies, 2 different ones. These are sort of ones that are outside that radar, and they're around a couple $100. I think I paid under, I think this was like under 100. I paid $250 for this Canadian. The reason I'm recommending them is they have some good girl art. They have like some really crazy, horror stuff. Horror, pre-code horror is super hot, and it's been super hot for a while now, actually. Pick it up for under $100 for pre-code horror is pretty great. This one for $250, I think is quite good because it's got skulls. It's got all the elements that people look for. It's got the girl in the red. That's my observation that I noticed whenever they have like some good girl art, it's always, she's wearing red. I don't know why. She's in bondage. Just so many cool elements to this book. And it's totally under the radar. It's like it's not one that, like, there's certain key issues that people know from this series, but not these particular issues. And because of that, they're going for way under what they probably should be going for. And maybe there's less than 100 on the census. It's not like there's like hundreds of these out there. So yeah, just one that I strongly recommend. Don't buy the issues that I'm looking for though. It's my only recommendation. I'm still looking for other issues. So please don't buy those ones. If you see them cheap, just tell me about them. Buy the issues that I already have. That's all I'm asking.
By the way, should be a real treat for you, Alan, because we just talked about this book, and you said this is your favorite Schomburg airbrush cover, but you don't have a copy yet. So I do have a copy here. This is Wonder Comics number 15. And this is from 1947. So December 1947 is the publication date. And in the series of these airbrush Zila covers are called, there are 37 total books. And so this is one of the 37. The most famous is that robot cover, Startling Comics number 49. But this is probably the next famous among them. Kind of a cool prospectus. There's a guy, kind of apparently a giant. He's back there. He's got a scalpel. The heroine who's lying down. The guy back there who's often those Schomburg covers, you're like, what is that guy going to do? He usually looks pretty helpless as he tries to save the damsel in distress. But there's all these cool features and details in the backgrounds. Now, in terms of price, a really low grade copy, you can get it for maybe $600 to $800 for maybe a 1 or a 2, maybe even $1,000 for a 2. It's about $400 or $500 a point, I think, these days for this book. A mid-grade copy will set you back probably $2,000 or $3,000. And the high grade, the Promise Collection, a near mint copy of 9.4, just sold on Heritage Auctions maybe a month ago for $17,000. And Alan, do you know what the grade of this particular book is?
It looks pretty good. I'd say it's a 9 something.
So it is blue label, and it's the old blue label, so it's hard to tell. The print's really small compared to the newer versions of the label. This is actually a 9.4 as well. So this is the same level as the Promise Collection. It's actually the D copy. So this is a really nice copy of this book. No book that's graded higher yet. So this is a really nice copy of this book. I was fortunate enough to buy it, I think 5 or 6 years ago for $7,000. So quite a bit cheaper than it is today. But yeah, this is a really nice book.
Yeah, very great. That's, as I said, that's my favorite Schomburg cover. I like these bondage covers and miniature girls. I don't know. It's like a thing for me. So that's the first half of our top 10, like not top 10, but list of 10, I should say. Golden Age, under the radar comics that you should really be on the hunt for. They're not just like, oh, you have to get this specific issue, but you can get ones that are related to that issue or in that same family of comics. And you can get some really good deals that are pretty valuable, that just people just don't realize that should be more valuable than they are. So thanks again, Keston, for joining me for part 1. And I'm going to join you for part 2.